Ana de Armas stood under the bright set lights, her breath coming in sharp, uneven gasps. She stared at the camera monitor as the director called for reset on the final scene. Her eyes brimmed with tears she refused to let fall, and her hands trembled at her sides. Keanu Reeves watched her from across the soundstage. He didn't speak. He simply stepped forward, closing the distance between them without a word. The crew drifted away, sensing the tension in the air. Ana's heart pounded so loudly she was sure it echoed through the empty studio. She shook her head, her voice barely a whisper. "I can't do this." The words cut through the space like a blade. She had given it everything she had, every ounce of emotion, every buried memory, but now, faced with that one final moment, she froze. Keanu stopped beside her. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. The weight of his presence was comforting, yet electrifying. He didn't say anything. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded photograph. He handed it to her with a soft nod. Ana unfolded the photo. It was a snapshot of Keanu, sitting alone at a diner table late at night, head in his hands, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. Behind him, the neon sign of the diner flickered. Open 24 hours. Back, in Keanu's familiar scrawl, were the words, "Even the strongest hearts need rest." Ana's breath caught. She remembered that night. She had been on location miles away, filming a grueling scene under the scorching sun. The crew had wrapped early, leaving Keanu alone with his thoughts. She had slipped away from her own trailer to find him, worried. She'd caught him staring into his coffee, lost in a battle she couldn't name. He had looked up when she approached. His shoulder had slumped, as if he carried the weight of the world in the crease of his brow. When she'd offered to stay with him, he'd only smiled sadly and said, "Thank you." But she stayed. They talked in silence, two souls seeking solace in the gentle hum of the diner. Tears spilled down Ana's cheeks now as she held the photo. She realized why she couldn't finish the scene. It wasn't the character's pain she feared, but her own. She had buried memories of failure, of moments when she gave everything, and it still wasn't enough. She had held on to those memories like chains around her heart. Keanu slipped an arm around her waist. Guiding her away from the lights, they walked toward the edge of the set, where the noise of filming faded into the hum of the theater beyond. He led her to an empty row of seats, and they sat side by side, shoulders touching. "You're not alone," he said finally, his voice low. "I know what it feels like to stand on the edge of yourself and want to step back." He paused, looking at her with a kindness that filled the space between them. "But sometimes we need someone to remind us why we started." Ana looked at him, her chest tight. She thought of every time she had pushed forward through exhaustion, doubt, and fear. She thought of the audiences who waited for her to bring characters to life, to feel their sorrow, their joy, their hope. And she realized that in doing so, she had forgotten herself. Keanu reached into his jacket pocket again and pulled out a small wrapped package. It was light, no bigger than a matchbox. He handed it to her. "Open it," he said. Inside, Ana found a leather bracelet with a single silver charm shaped like a compass. The inscription read, "Find your true north." She felt a warmth spread through her fingers as she touched the charm. He had chosen it carefully, the compass, the guide for anyone lost on their journey. She lifted her eyes to his. "Why?" she whispered. He smiled and shrugged softly. "Because you helped me find my own way back. Now it's my turn to help you." Ana clasped the bracelet on her wrist. The simple act felt like a promise, that she could face her fears with someone by her side. She closed her eyes, let go of the photograph, and let the weight of the moment wash over her. Minutes passed in silence. Then the director's voice drifted back across the set, calling for actors. Ana stood slowly, the bracelet glinting on her wrist. She looked at Keanu, breathing deeply. She nodded, determination flickering in her eyes. The crew gathered. Lights shone, cameras rolled. Ana stepped onto the mark. In her heart, she carried the photo and the bracelet's reminders that even when she felt weakest, she was never truly alone. And with that, she spoke her lines. Her voice rang out clear and strong, every word heavy with honesty. Behind the camera, the crew held their breath. Keanu stood beside her, silent support in every breath he took. He watched as she transformed, that final moment from fear to strength, and in doing so, reclaimed a part of herself she thought lost forever. Anna woke before dawn the next day, her mind still tangled in last night's moment. The bracelet lay heavy on her wrist, a silent promise she could feel with every heartbeat. She slipped out of bed and walked to the window. Beyond the glass, the empty streets gleamed with street lamp light. She pressed her palm against the cool pane, thinking of Keanu's quiet strength. She had agreed to come back to set today. But fear gripped her as she remembered the final scene she had almost walked away from. Her phone buzzed on the bedside. Table? It was a message from her assistant. Call time in 2 hours. Director wants to rehearse. She swallowed hard. Her hands trembled, and she glanced down at the compass charm. It reminded her that she already had her north. On the ride to the studio, Anna stared out the car window. Every flash of light and passing shadow reminded her of last night's struggle. She thought of the photo Keanu had given her. Still, held it close, tucked safely in her makeup kit. She hadn't shown anyone. It was their secret. When she arrived, the studio felt different. The director's eyes seemed sharper, as if he waited for her to fail. The other actors whispered among themselves, glancing at her with curiosity and doubt. Anna felt their eyes. On her back as she walked to her chair, she took a deep breath, remembering Keanu's words, "You're not alone." Keanu appeared beside her, handing her a cup of tea. He didn't say a word, but the gesture steadied her. The warm liquid soothed her nerves. She met his eyes and nodded. He smiled gently before stepping away to rehearse his lines. The director called for rehearsal. The cameras rolled. Na stood on her mark. Her heart thundered, but she focused on the moment. She remembered the pain she had buried, the fear she had held tight. She let it rise, but instead of shutting down, she let it flow through her words. "I can't go on," she whispered into the camera, her voice trembling. The director's finger hovered in the air, ready to call reset, but Anna held her ground. She leaned into the moment, each breath a promise to herself. She opened her eyes wide and continued, "Not because I'm weak, but because I'm human." The silence hung heavy. The director lowered his hand. He waited. Anna let the emotions settle around her. She spoke again, softer this time. "But if someone stands with me, maybe I can find the strength to try again." Keanu watched intently from behind the monitor. His eyes glistened. The crew stayed quiet, drawn into Anna's honesty. When she finished, the director spoke softly. "Cut." That was. Real. For the rest of the morning, Anna moved with purpose. Every scene she filmed carried the weight of her truth. The camera captured her vulnerability, her resolve. With each take, her confidence grew. At lunch, Anna sat alone under a tree near the back lot. She pulled out the photo and bracelet. Phone vibrated again. It was a text from the studio. "Urgent meeting. Producer wants to see you." Her stomach clenched. She folded the photo and slipped it back into her bag. She stood and walked toward the soundstage. Inside, the producer sat behind a long table. His expression was unreadable. Anna took a seat across from him. He tapped a folder and spoke without preamble. "That last scene. It's giving us concerns about marketability." Anna's heart sank. She clenched the bracelet. "I thought you liked it," she said quietly. He leaned forward. "It's too raw. Audiences want escapism, not pain." Anna felt anger rise, but she held it back. She thought of Keanu, of his faith in her. She remembered the diner photo and his silent promise. She took a deep breath. "Sometimes truth hurts," she said. "But it also heals." The producer stared a long moment. Then he sighed. "I'll talk to the director. We'll see if we can keep the scene." Anna exhaled. Relief and fear tangled in her chest. She left the office and found Keanu just outside. He offered her a silent nod. She held up her wrist so he could see the bracelet. He smiled and offered his arm. Together they walked back to the set, stronger for the battle they faced. When Anna opened her phone that evening, she froze. News alert flashed. Raw footage of Anna's breakdown goes viral. Her chest tightened as she tapped the link. There it was, an unedited clip of her trembling under the lights, pulling. at her hair, unable to speak. The video had thousands of views already, and the comments were brutal. Keanu sat beside her on the couch, phone in hand. He scrolled through the barrage of reactions. Some called her unprofessional, others mocked her tears. Anna's eyes burned. She closed her phone and looked at him, voice barely above a whisper. What if they're right? Keanu took her hand. They don't know you, he said softly. They only saw a moment. You were stronger than this. His words were calm, but Anna could hear the fierceness beneath them. The next morning, Anna walked onto the set, feeling exposed. The crew avoided her gaze. Whispers trailed behind her. She clutched the bracelet, willing its promise to steady her. She spotted Keanu near the monitors. He offered a small, encouraging nod. The director called action. Anna stepped into the scene, her mind echoing with every cruel comment. Her hands trembled. She closed her eyes, took a breath. She remembered the diner photo and Keanu's silent promise. She pictured his steady eyes. She opened her eyes wide and spoke her lines with raw honesty, each word stronger than before. When the take ended, the director lowered his hand and said, "Keep rolling," Anna continued, improvising a few lines that weren't in the script, words about resilience, about rising from shame. Her voice cracked, then found a steady rhythm. Keanu watched silently, pride shining in his eyes. After the scene, the producer approached. Anna braced for more criticism. Instead, he offered her a slim envelope. Her name was written in neat handwriting. Inside was a handwritten note to Anna, from a stranger whose life you saved today. Thank you for being real. Tears blurred her vision as she read it. Outside the studio, a small group of fans waited, holding signs of support. One held a placard, "We stand with Anna." Another offered her flowers. Anna smiled, overwhelmed. She signed autographs, hugged a few, and felt the kindness in their eyes. Later, Anna found Keanu at the diner where they had first sat together. The neon sign glowed warmly. They ordered coffee without words. Anna handed Keanu the note. He read it and smiled. "See? Truth heals," he said. She looked at him. "But the world is so quick to judge." He reached across the table and took her hand. "Sometimes it takes a few voices to drown out the noise. You gave them a reason to listen." Over the next days, the studio decided to embrace the raw footage. They released a statement praising Anna's honesty and resilience. The video's caption was changed to Ana de Armas, "Real strength and vulnerability." It's the new narrative one prays online. Journalists wrote articles about how her courage had inspired others to speak their truth. Anna returned to the set with renewed purpose. She felt the weight of the wild ride they had shared: fear, shame, support, and then triumph. Keanu met her. At the edge of the stage, he raised an eyebrow playfully. Ready for the final push? She grinned and nodded. As the cameras rolled for the climactic scene, Anna felt no fear. She carried every moment, good and bad, into her voice. She spoke with the power of someone who had faced her own demons and survived. Behind her, Keanu watched, silent and steady, a reminder that kindness can turn even the darkest moments into hope. Anna waited in her dressing room, the sound of footsteps and voices drifting through the thin walls. The final scene was tomorrow, and her heart pounded as if it would burst. She stared at herself in the mirror. The bracelet lay against her skin, gleaming softly. She touched the compass charm, tracing its shape with her finger. "Find your true north," she murmured. The door opened quietly. Keanu stepped in, carrying 2 steaming mugs of tea. He smiled gently and handed one to her. "Thought you might need this," he said. Anna accepted the cup with trembling hands. She wrapped them around the warmth. "I'm scared," she confessed, voice barely audible. Keanu sat beside her and rested his mug on the table. He didn't speak at first. Then he said, "Fear is not the enemy. Reminds us that we care." He paused. "You've faced fear before? Look at how far you've come." Anna took a slow sip of tea. She remembered every step of their journey, the breakdown on set, the photo in her hand, the viral clip, the stranger's note, the fans who cheered her on. She realized she was not the same person who hid behind walls of doubt. She was stronger now. Not because she had no fear, but because she learned to move forward with it. That night, Anna barely slept. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying dialogue in her mind, imagining every camera angle. The weight of expectation pressed on her chest. She closed her eyes and pictured Keanu's calm face. She imagined him offering the photo and bracelet. She felt the steady pulse of the compass against her wrist. She exhaled and let sleep take her. The next morning, the set buzzed with energy. Lights were arranged, cameras checked, extras in costume. Anna walked to the soundstage, her steps measured. She spotted Keanu by the monitors. He gave her a thumbs up. She nodded and took her mark. The director called action. The scene began quietly. Anna's character stood on a rooftop at dawn, looking down at a city that never slept. In her hand she held a letter. She unfolded it and read the words aloud. "I cannot forgive myself for what I lost." Her voice was soft but clear. As she spoke, a breeze stirred her hair. The camera circled her, capturing the raw emotion in her eyes. Anna felt her own shame and regret wash over her. She let herself sink into that place, the memory of failure, the fear of being judged. Her voice cracked, then steadied. "But if I can find the courage to face the light," she continued, "maybe I can find the strength to forgive my own heart." She paused, tears shining on her cheeks. The crew watched in silence from behind. "The camera," Keanu called. "Improvise the next line." Anna hesitated. She did not know what to say. Then she thought of the compass.
Ice.
She closed her eyes and whispered, "And sometimes we need someone to guide us when we lose our way." She opened her eyes and spoke directly into the lens. "Thank you for being my compass," the director signaled cut. The set remained still for a moment. Then applause broke out among the crew. Anna exhaled, her body shaking. After the take, Anna collapsed into Keanu's arms. He hugged her tightly. "You were incredible," he murmured. She nodded against his chest, unable to speak. Later, Anna sat with the producers and the director. They reviewed the footage on a large screen. Her voice guided the scene, her tears real but controlled. When the final playback ended, the producer turned to her. "This is magic," he said. "You brought something no one expected." Anna felt relief and pride bloom inside her. She lifted her hand to show the bracelet. The studio head smiled and said, "Keep it on for good luck." The next hours, they filmed the closing sequence. Anna and Keanu shared a silent moment on screen, their hands finding each other. The camera captured the depth of connection in their eyes. Every frame spoke of trust, support, and unspoken understanding. As the sun began to set, the final shot was set. Anna stood on the rooftop edge, wind blowing through her hair. Keanu approached, offering his hand. She took it. They stepped back from the ledge together. Anna looked at the camera, tears in her eyes, but a soft smile on her lips. "We are never alone," she spoke. "Even in our darkest hours, someone holds the light." The director whispered cut, and the set erupted in cheers. Anna sank to her knees, exhausted but exhilarated. Keanu knelt beside her and squeezed her hand. That night they celebrated with the cast and crew. Laughter and music filled the air. Anna found herself surrounded by people who believed in her. She thought of the stranger's note, the fans, the producer's support. She realized courage was contagious. As the party wound down, Keanu and Anna stepped outside. The stars shone above. Anna looked up, breathing deeply. She felt the compass on her wrist like a steady heartbeat. Keanu stood beside her and said, "You did it." Anna turned to him, tears in her eyes. She smiled and whispered, "We did it." Anna sat in the empty screening room, the glow of the projector still lingering on the blank screen. She stared at the rows of empty seats, her heart hammering. Today was supposed to be the first test audience screening of their final cut. A message from the producer had changed everything. Tonight's screening is off. Unforeseen issue. No explanation. Panic curled in her stomach. Keanu found her there, leaning against the doorframe. He didn't say a word. He just offered her his water bottle. Anna shook her head. "They canceled it," she whispered. "We worked so hard." Her voice cracked. She pressed her palms to her cheeks, trying to hold back tears. Keanu sat beside Her on the floor? Maybe there's a reason, he said gently. Let's find out. He stood and held out his hand. Together, they walked to the producer's office, footsteps echoing in the hall. Inside, the producer paced, phone pressed to his ear. When he hung up, he rubbed his forehead. We have a leak, he said. An early cut of the scene went to a rival studio, their threatening legal action. Anna's breath caught. Everything we poured our souls into. At risk, she asked. The producer nodded. We need proof you shot it live on our set. Otherwise they claim it was stolen. Anna felt tears blur her vision. They had recorded every angle. She knew. The footage was safe, but fear nodded her. Keanu placed a hand on her shoulder. We'll get it back, he said. His calm steadied her. We built this together. Protect it together. They called the editor, who rushed to retrieve the master files. Anna and Keanu waited in the hallway, the air thick. After what felt like hours, the editor emerged with a hard drive. All footage is here, he said. Nothing missing, the producer exhaled. We'll deliver the proof and resume the screening. Anna's relief flooded through her. She leaned against Keanu, closing her eyes. That night, the screening went ahead in a small black box theater. Anna and Keanu sat in the front row, surrounded by the director, producers, and a handful of invited guests. As the lights dimmed, the film began. Scene after scene drew gasps and quiet tears. When the final rooftop moment appeared, the audience sat stunned. Anna's voice echoed, Even in our darkest hours, someone holds the light. A heavy silence settled. Then the room erupted in applause. Tears streamed down Anna's cheeks. She turned to Keanu, who wiped his own eyes. She squeezed his hand. In that moment, she realized their journey, every failure and triumph had led here. After the screening, a journalist approached them. Your honesty is rare, she said. This film will change how people see vulnerability. Anna nodded, her heart full. Keanu smiled softly and said, It's not about being perfect. It's about being real. As they left the theater, fans and crew cheered. Anna felt gratitude and wonder. She thought of the bracelet and compass charm, of the stranger's note, of every moment that brought her here. Under the night sky, Keanu and Anna stood side by side. The city lights twinkled below. Anna looked at him and whispered, We did it. He nodded and replied, Together. Anna stood on the red carpet outside the grand premiere hall, the bracelet heavy on her wrist. Flashes of cameras lit her face, and reporters' voices swirled around her. She took a steadying breath. Beside her, Keanu adjusted his suit crisp, but simple. He offered her a reassuring smile. Inside, the theater was packed. Fans held signs, some quoting her lines. She felt a surge of gratitude. This journey had begun in fear and doubt, and now she was here, ready to share the final result. They walked up the aisle to the front row. The lights dimmed, and the audience quieted. The film began. Anna watched herself on screen, raw and honest. She saw the breakdown, the moments of hope, the final rooftop scene. Each frame held memories of struggle and support. Tears stung her eyes, but she smiled. Keanu reached over and squeezed her hand. When the credits rolled, the hall erupted in applause. The clap echoed like thunder. Anna rose to her feet, and Keanu joined her. They bowed together, humbled by the crowd's response. She thought of every person who had believed in her, the stranger who wrote the note, the fans who waited in the rain, the producer who fought for her scenes. After the screening, at the after-party, Anna and Keanu stood by a table of guests. A young actress approached Anna, voice trembling. Your story gave me courage to speak my truth. Anna felt her heart swell. She knelt to meet the actress's eyes and whispered, Thank you for trusting yourself. Keanu watched, pride in his gaze. He led Anna to the edge of the balcony overlooking the city. Lights glimmered below like distant stars. Anna rested her elbow on the railing. I never imagined we'd get here, she said softly. He leaned against the railing beside her. You found your true north, he replied. You guided yourself. Anna traced the compass charm. And you reminded me how to trust. She looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. They stood in comfortable silence as the night breeze carried the city's hum. Anna thought of the road behind her, the fear that almost stopped her, the vulnerability that became her strength, the kindness that lifted her. She felt a new sense of purpose. The next morning, Anna returned to the diner where it all began. Keanu joined her at their favorite booth. They ordered coffee and sat in silence, the neon sign flickering outside. Anna placed her hand over the bracelet. "I'm ready for the next chapter," she said. He smiled. "I'll be right here." The film would go on to inspire many. Anna would use her platform to champion honesty in art. Keanu would continue to support friends facing their own journeys. Together, they had shown that respect, humility, resilience, and kindness can turn fear into hope. As Anna lifted her cup, she looked out the window at the early morning light. Every heart that helped her find her way,